tongue. Celestial event. No. No words. No words. To describe. I should have said. The poem. So beautiful. Beautiful. So beautiful. The people need to see what I see. They need to see.
These are the spiritual as much as physical voyages of the Co-Federation Solar Sun, our starship, planet Earth, restored to heaven on our heaven Earth as our spiritual, genealogical, local, global, universal voyager and shared her and his family community enterprise. Our new millennial year's mission to rediscover and re-understand, sustain, and explore are and all are in fact familiar new worlds of family community, of the tree of love, life, and light throughout the solar system and universe, to restore, renew, and sustain our and new life and new sustainable civilizations, past, present, retroactively, and now, rebalance, and future, always balancing, to lovingly, genealogically, and boldly become and be space-time travelers whenever and where we have interdimensional reality, all in part been before, it also never been before, in alternative space lines that are circles, which are of the universal EQ, IQ, and SQ continuum. Balance, combinations of the ever-expanding circle which spirals and grows, budding and blooming in space-time. Love and live enlightened, ever young, long, and prosper all, both in each and every one. Engage your hearts, mind, soul, and body, for we all, both in each, and each both in all, can, must, and marvelously and miraculously make it so.
In the thunderous blast, she emerges, her eyes on fire, the mighty priestess. She is risen from the nativity of Conqueror. She is risen from the fires of the earth. She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen. We all are risen.
महालक्ष्मी मृडप्रिया महारूपा महापूज्या महापातकनाशिनी महामाया महासत्त्व महाशक्ति महारथी महाभोगा महेश्वर्या महावीर्या महाबला महाबुद्धि महासिद्धि महायोगेश्वरेश्वरी महातंत्र महामंत्र महायंत्र महासना महायागक्रमाराध्या ओम महाभैरवपूजिता महेश्वर महाकल्पक महातांडव साक्षिणी महादावेशमहिषी महात्रिपुर सुंदरी चतुष्षष्टि उपचाराढ्या चतुष्षष्टि कलामयी महाचतुष्षष्टि मुक्तिकोटि योगिनी गणसेविता
My singing. Yeah, my singing kitty.
Listen, man. No. No words. No words. I should have said, oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. Look, people need to see what I see. They need to see.
this day I call the heavens and the earths as witnesses intercessorily for and hopefully and prayerfully not against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose love and life with light, so that you and your children may live. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not our new millennial law.
Okay. I've got a situation. Maybe play sunflowers or obscurity of black. This is Anna Marie singing Christmas, and I am Cherokee, Cheyenne, Alaska, and Alabama, Dakota. And I am also a French, English, and German. Pitukuye Ayasine. That means we are all related. We embrace the new millennial wisdom as the law of the Mother Earth and all the planets of all the universe.
Welcome to another broadcast of the State of the Union, Everyday Growing, of the New Millennial Golden Rule, the Confederation of Earth and Planets, of the New Millennial Golden Rule. I am your first, but not last or only, Cosmic Christ of planet Earth and all our planets of the New Millennial Confederation. I am the predicted Paraclete, the Cosmic Christ who has come. But I am not alone, because my job is to ensure that you all become Cosmic Christs that is immortal and ever young, in harmony with nature on this and all planets, including very much human nature, and achieve apotheosis, the human become more divine, bringing forth the goddess and godlike qualities in unique individuality and yet collective, interactive genius of all people, all common people in common sense, risen. Atlantis, risen, become Atlantus, all, risen. I'm going to see if we can have a co-host this evening, or if I will be doing this a solo broadcast. So bear with us. I'll put the screen share on, and while you are looking at that, visit 5050now.wordpress.com. Take the maybe hour to 3 hours, depending on how quickly you read, to look at this website in depth, particularly the New Millennial Golden Rule, which is at the right uppermost corner of the menus. The New Millennial Golden Rule is the pink, green, and rainbow, and not just blueprint, to open up peace, culture, and sustainable, loving, living, enlightened life on this planet and all our planets in connection with one another. It will allow us to open the stargates and become eternally young and always growing in our understanding of our universe without the many ills that we have been suffering under the wrong anthropological paradigm. We have been living according to the patriarchal paradigm. But our genius is released, our goddess and godlike qualities are released to become risen with an egalitarian paradigm. It means a change in the kinship patterns of our families and communities, as well as a change in the paradigms of our institutions, particularly our concepts of government and economics, as well as human interaction patterns. The sociology and psychology of which we have become accustomed has to be let go of for a more enlightened one. We will become as the equinoxes of Stargate, or the noxes, but we are calling them equinoxes because we want to emphasize equitable and EQ, which are lacking in our current society, which is patriarchal and is blocking a lot of forms of intelligence from rising and becoming fully risen. And also, we shall become as the true Qs of Star Trek, capable of saving our planet quickly, despite its extreme endangerment now. It is simply a matter of at least one of us, that is me, right now, and I'm getting some additional help, which hopefully you'll hear, well, you've already heard tonight, and you'll hear more of, and have already co-hosted some of these programs with me. But there's a lot more of you out there who we know agree with an egalitarian paradigm. You simply didn't have the pink, green, rainbow, and also blue print of the New Millennial Golden Rule to make it work quickly and fulfill all mythological and all heritages of religious prophecy, as well as the envisioning of the best of human science fiction based on science fact. Social science fact, as well as physical, biological, and mathematical and other forms of sciences. Soft sciences, so-called, as well as so-called hard sciences, come together in an unfolding pattern of success that grows absolutely naturally once we have implemented the New Millennial Golden Rule in your neighborhood, in your family, locally, and connecting it globally with awareness that this is occurring globally, and thereby, because the universe is also all interconnected universally. We'll let you look at the webpage, 5050now.wordpress.com. See if we're going to have co-hosts this evening. Okay, we're going to start the broadcast. You're looking at an anthropological chart comparing different types of kinship systems that anthropologists study among different groups of humankind. You see here certain more often considered paradisal groups, more in harmony with nature perhaps than our modern kinship systems. In the modern world that we are used to of the Western world and impacting much of our planet, our kinship tends to be defined according to nuclear familyhood. We have a mother, a father, and daughters and sons. It is also patriarchal, so that in much of the Western world that we're used to in North America particularly, the names of the mother's line become invisibilized upon marriage, and the name of the father becomes the surname of the children. Now, this is true in North America particularly, especially in the United States. It is not true in much of the world. In much of the world, the maternal name is kept, and children bear the names of both mother and father in the presentation of their so-called last name or surnames. It depends on the culture. Now, we never, until this generations, had these kinds of charts on an online vehicle like the internet that everybody could look at. These arrangements, and also the names often for family members that are given according to the kinship awareness, are big clues as to what the future of a society might become. Now, because we know, looking back at the current history of humankind, that the most successful society that ever was, in terms of surviving the longest, without war, with high quality of life, and with great satisfaction and happiness and harmony with nature, was that of what we now look back on and have heard of as Atlantis. Atlantis was an actual real place. It was based on the Isle of Crete in the Mediterranean. And on the Isle of Crete in the Mediterranean, in 1884, archaeologists discovered important findings and frescoes and laws that were inscribed in stone that described a civilization and was known as an ideal civilization by later civilizations such as the Mycenaean and Hellenic Greeks, and then the Romans, and following them came our more so-called modern history after the Dark Ages, after the Roman civilization fell. Lost my screen share there for a minute. Let me get it back for you. See if we can get our screen share back. Okay, here we have frescoes of people who lived in the Minoan, well, it's called often the Minoan civilization because discoveries made in the early 1900s there were referred to that way. I think it's the late 1800s, early 1900s, by the archaeologist who found the places and the ruins of this incredible civilization, and wrongly applied a patriarchal surname to this civilization, started calling it Minoan after King Minos, instead of recognizing that Minos had a queen, Pasiphae, and they had a daughter, Ariadne. And Ariadne would be a more legitimate name for, if you were going to use one name for this civilization, Ariadne Pasiphaean, because the women were the primary decision makers, although it was primarily egalitarian, actually, in its decision making. It was a slight edge for the females, but the males wanted it that way. And the civilization had the farthest seafaring reach. They reached to ancient Israel and what we now regard as the Holy Land. They reached likely to Egypt. They reached all many far reaches of Europe, and they may have reached the ancient area that had been Vedic India, that also had a similar egalitarian culture where women were regarded as incarnations of goddesses and men were regarded as incarnations of gods. And so, or as gods, and women as goddesses. They regarded themselves as holy. They thought of their most important relationship was that with nature and the universe. Now, this civilization has everything to teach us now. And that is why we call the co-federation of the New Millennial Golden Rule Atlantos All Risen. I am born, my birthday is, my cosmic birthday is December 25th. My earthly birthday from our mother, my mother, is September 25th. September 25th falls in the area of the Libran astrological constellation, which is related to the goddess of justice, divine justice, and divine balance. It's about balance. And my cosmic birth type, therefore, is December 25th, our traditional Christmas. But that was the day which my parents conceived me on, which you might say was also the day the universe conceived me on. The ancient Aramaic and Hebraic Bible findings that we have, we know that Maryam of Nazareth and Maryam of Magdala and Jesus of Nazareth and their family and kin and apostles and colleagues, who were both female and male, predicted there would be another who would come. And they called that person the Paraclete. The Paraclete means the supporter or the comforter or the accompanier. And I am here to accompany you and guide you to your human apotheosis, female and male, your eternal life. And it isn't that difficult, at least at a theoretical level. It isn't that difficult to switch from patriarchy to an egalitarian culture, because I have made it easy via the New Millennial Golden Rule, which you can read about at 5050now.wordpress.com. What makes it difficult is that you are already embedded in patriarchy. I was most of my life, and therefore was rather late in rising as to fulfill my mission as first but not last or only Christ, co-Christ, the savior of the planet, or the equinox true Q. I was late in rising because I myself was naive about the intertwining aspects of patriarchy. and did not see that even though my heart was egalitarian and my mind was egalitarian and my spirit was egalitarian, in other words, I loved both the female and the male of our species, and I regarded them as equally important. What I was naive about was the extent to which that was not true of so many other people. So many other people do regard males as more important than females. That, for example, a good 50% of men, when asked what kind of child would they prefer, female or male, they don't say either one. A good 50% say male. Among women, 30% say male. And the rest is distributed among people who are egalitarian and prefer either one, fine, happy, or prefer their own or the opposite gender. There's about 20% of men who prefer a female child. There's about 30% of women who prefer a female child. And the rest of those groups are egalitarian. Well, we've had thousands of years in many places on this planet where in adulthood, especially, a male is preferred. A baby might be, even among those who say they would prefer a female child, by the time they have been interacting with patriarchy for a while, by the time that child reaches adolescence, the female is less valued. And when you put that reservation or hesitation regard egalitarian valuing into play for generation upon generation upon generation, you wind up with the problems that we have on this planet. We can very quickly push a button to destroy ourselves with a nuclear bomb. But women cannot figure out how to push a button together to talk with each other seriously about the problems of their world, because they think they have no value. And they resent each other's ideas because they have such low self-esteem that instead of supporting one another to bring forth their true genius, which is based in their estrogen, they scatter and they cover up their self-esteem by taking orders from men, their low self-esteem, by willfully taking orders from men, whether it's at home in a marital situation or in a workplace, in a corporate workplace, which are highly hierarchical and led by dominant alpha males and very manipulative alpha males. This is not Atlantis. This kind of arrangement that we have is not what they had in Atlantis. The kind of arrangement that we have is very, very stressful. Right now, a full quarter of American women are on antidepressants. And a little bit more that you add to that are also on antipsychotics. Men are also terribly stressed by patriarchy, and a good 20% of men are substance abusers. We also have very high rates of violence towards self and other among men. Women have postpartum depressions in great number. There are two excellent books written about the situation of women's relationship to each other under patriarchy. One by Phyllis Chesler is Women's Inhumanity to Women, and the other by Kelly Vallon is Twisted Sisterhood. There have been both women and men who have been warning about the dangers of patriarchy for a number of decades. Extremely skilled sociologists, anthropologists, and psychologists. But the mass of humanity has not taken this work seriously because they're watching television. Television is a patriarchal outgrowth of already pre-existing conditions that has not moved into the right way of thinking. And television is characterized by older, manipulative men in the boardroom and large harem-like groups of women taking orders, reading teleprompters, and acting like pretty much bimbos and ditzes. And in their description of their world, which they then share with hundreds of millions and billions of people through television. People who watch television begin to think that certain fantasies are real, like the fantasy of our elections. We don't have elections. We have circuses that are meant to distract people from the fact that the real rulers here are extremely intense corporate patriarchies in North America. We don't actually have elections, but a lot of money is spent on these shows, these shams, because this distraction process and confusion process works very effectively for the manipulative alpha males to maintain what they are used to. Now, what they don't realize, and what I'm telling them, is that by doing this, just as Jesus of Nazareth said, a rich man has the likelihood of getting into heaven as easily as a camel through the eye of a needle. I have another way of putting this. You will not have your eternal life in the universe. You will come back in your next life as a very low creature on some other planet, or this one. The universe parcels that out in an infinite wisdom. You are destroying your future karma by the accumulation of wealth and exploitation of others that ignores the human genius in the common person and thwarts it and manipulates it, especially that of women. And the whole of society suffers. Now we are at the brink of extinction because of these tendencies. The patriarchal family system is a ticket over time to horror and death. And we are on that train right now. And it is going toward the cliff, and we are all going to go over it if you don't hear what I have to say to you about the new millennial golden rule. So let's look at that again. I've been having a little trouble with the Google Hangout. Here's, I hope this was showing to you. Here's the Minoan women and men. This is the way they really looked. They had long hair. They were considered the first Europeans, the first modern Europeans. And they are related mostly to people of Greek and Crete heritage today. But they also made their influence felt throughout Europe and the Mediterranean and North Africa. They had a very wide reach. They were very peaceful. They had no armies, but they were entirely successful. Until something occurred, which we'll be talking about later, some of the birthdays that occur at different times of the year. At this time of the year, one of the birthdays that came this month was the birthday of an anthropologist, archaeologist by the name of Marija Gimbutas, who began to find, which is now well known everywhere, huge numbers of artifacts worshiping goddess from almost every ancient culture on the face of the earth. And we know that this is the truth, that for 35,000 years, humanity worshipped goddess aspect of the universe. They often use little figurines and artistic depictions to depict that, and they gave her various names. But what is really being suggested here is that the human female has the divine qualities. Their goddesses and gods were human-like. And what we understand of this is a natural understanding that our gifts have divine potential as human beings. What do we mean by divine? A person who does not ever die. A person who is born but does not ever die. And a person who stays always fit and young and capable for eternity. You think that's impossible. It is not impossible. It is possible. It is our future via the new millennial golden rule. In other words, watch Star Trek and look at the true Q and the Q. The woman and the male of that species that had essentially eternal life. They could bop around the universe at the snap of a finger because their consciousness was so evolved that they understood how to navigate space-time, not just the oceans like the Atlantis of ancient times, but space-time, time travel. And what is quite clear about their society and all of the advanced societies in most of science fiction and most utopian concepts of society is that they were egalitarian. Everything from Alice and Sir Thomas More to Stargate and Star Trek. The most successful societies were ones in which the females did not regard themselves as just helpmates, but as equals and full participants, and the men wanted it that way. They loved them more that way, not less. And this is what we have not achieved here in North America, where 90% of the women take their husbands' names upon marriage out of habits, and only 9 so-called states allow a man to hyphenate in order to take his wife's maiden name as part of his own. Otherwise, he is forced to retain only his own name upon marriage. We are living in a culture in which the laws are made by old men. Therefore, they are laws that are out of harmony with Mother Nature. So we are out of harmony with Mother Nature. And we are destroying ourselves by the wrong energy mix, the wrong energy choices, constant warfare and worry about war and terror and horror and crime and violence, enormous pressure of exploitation, job insecurity, work insecurity, housing insecurity. You name it, patriarchy has made most people pretty miserable. Yet we're locked into it because, for a simple reason, most people never use the words patriarchy versus egalitarian society, patriarchal versus egalitarian, patriarchal versus matrilineal, or matrilineal versus patrilineal versus bilineal. What our goal should be is a bilineal kinship system in which the mothers and the fathers, going all the way back to the beginning of time, are regarded as having had divine potential and likely, if they lived a reasonably good life, are reincarnated on another planet, and by opening the stargates, we will recover contact with both of the females and the males of our family trees. The universe is waiting for one major family reunion. But it requires people to drop the patriarchal habits. This is hard for people to do because once they're in this habit, they convince themselves that it's natural. They conform themselves to the convention of the lemmings around them. They think like conventional lemmings, and they take their civilization periodically over the cliff of destruction. And this time we're taking the world we're at the cliff of destruction by holding on to patriarchy. The way out of this is simple. This is what makes me the paraclete. I put it together in a very simple rule. It's the New Millennial Golden Rule at 5050now.wordpress.com. I have spoken about this with many women who have been working on gender parity, but many of them are unconsciously locked into patriarchy. Therefore, they're waiting for male-dominated institutions to give them equality. They're waiting, particularly for the United Nations to do something for them. The United Nations had a great vision, but the reality of it is it's patriarchal. The General Assembly has about 193 so-called countries represented. The process by which the people are picked for these roles in many of the countries is very profoundly patriarchal. And as a result, only about 20 out of all those 193 people are female. Now, is this an institution that can bring balance of gender? I don't think so. And I think that the women and the men who are well motivated within that institution need to do what would solve the problem. Just share the New Millennial Golden Rule, base democracy in the neighborhood, make the decision-making process focus on the energy mix so that all neighborhoods on the earth go solar quickly. The great boon of our nearest star, and we are star stuff, so we needed to connect to that. And then a more intelligent, organic, and permacultural agriculture in every neighborhood, returning us to the gardens of Eden everywhere, the Elysian fields everywhere, or whatever the paradisal name of the culture is. I think paradise is an Iranian Persian term. And find it everywhere on this planet. And the whole planet is holy ground and holy land. And we are citizens and family of one planet. And our planet is a universal planet of the universe. And all of the creatures upon it are universal creatures. And our divinity as human beings, our immortal life and our high levels of functioning, come out of the mutual regard that comes of the family circles that form, that are egalitarian and that show mutual regard for one another, that allow women to take esteem from their natural tendencies of estrogen-linked nurturing, highly intuitive intelligence, connecting qualities, and allow men to realize that they have some of those qualities too, and that does not diminish them. It allows women to recognize that they have some assertiveness and that does not diminish them or make them unfemale. And it allows men to take pride in their quick activities, their quicker activities, and their better spatial, generally, intelligence than women, while women are a little bit better at their temporal, their time intuition than men, when they are in harmony of an egalitarian kinship system and a social system that reflects it in all its institutions. Without that, you have this patriarchal mess that we're in, and you have thanaticide. Now, this is a simple choice, and I'm just laying it out for you in the most I hope, understandable terms so that you can make the choice. And the best way to make the choice is the New Millennial Golden Rule, because you don't have to overthrow anybody. You just have to kind of go off grid. Go off grid of patriarchal elections, go off grid of